Here we go. Good evening, everybody. Well, yesterday when I had the live stream going, obviously Tommy was busy editing this video, which is absolute. If you haven't seen the video, get seeing the video. I think it's the best one that's been done so far. It's absolutely mega. And so yesterday, Tommy was going to be on yesterday, but I put I Am Spartacus on instead. So we had Spartacus on and we had Kirk Douglas, but now we've got Kirk Douglas himself. Mr. Tommy Robinson. You're very welcome, sir. You're very welcome. And actually, it's the first time we've done this. I mean, I've known Tommy for what, I don't know, 3-4 years now, and it's the first time, apart from when you did the Rebel interview thing, the Rebel Media thing with the veterans, that we've actually done a stream together. So it's good to have you on the stream, Tommy. Good to see you, mate.
It's good to be seen.
Yeah, and on YouTube. We've got you on YouTube.
I have this knack just stirring the hornet's nest like no.
Mate, well, listen. What happened? Just tell us what happened. Just take it from the top. What happened? You know, where did it all go right or wrong? What happened?
You've seen my video, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what I was on last night. It's 1 hour and 7 minutes. If you've got 1 hour and 7 minutes, then watch it. The craziest thing about this, what I've found, in fact, it's not crazy. It's genius branding by a far-left, anarchist, Marxist, Antifa organisation, totally rebranded, but to incorporate and wind up the black community. So the minute you speak against BLM, because I sat there thinking, yeah, I had my rant, because I was angry. And I was angry at witnessing what was happening to our war memorials. And it wasn't just that it was happening. I saw the statue come down in Bristol. Yeah? Didn't know who it was at the time. Didn't know anything about it. And then I saw Churchill's next and Gladstone's next. And then I thought, well, they are next. They literally are going to be next because the police moved out of the way and let them do it. The police moved people out of the way so that Churchill's statue could be desecrated. They let them do it. So it is next. At this next rally that this organisation has, that's funded by George Soros, that sole purpose is to sow division. Now, bearing in mind, I've spent years watching BLM in the United States. So when I have a rant about it, I'm ranting about all the things I've seen, which I've put into my video. There's plenty more that could have gone into that video, but it would have been 2 hours long. There's that much racism and disgusting views that come out of that organisation. The fact they worship the terrorists. There's so much bad stuff, yeah. But I had to cut it down, and it was still long. But obviously, the majority of ordinary members of the black community in this country, they ain't followed that shit. They ain't followed it, so they don't get it. So to them, me talking about BLM this, BLM that, they're just thinking, what? Oh, us now? What are you having to go us for? And I know that by the reaction of many of my closest friends who felt disappointed, who felt upset, who felt like I'd turned on them after years of them arguing and defending me. They felt, so it's a personal thing for me after that, because I was still sitting there thinking, what did I say that was wrong? Like,
well, yeah, can I come in there, Tommy? Because when I saw that video, I mean, I've been going mental about this, and just to put it in context, I mean, you know, I want you to talk a bit about your experiences growing up and who you grew up with, which will show anybody, because what we've got to get across here, because the mainstream media want to demonize you, and not just you, all of us, as racist right-wing nut jobs, and we've got every opportunity to tell your story.
Video help.
Exactly. We've got to tell your story about what it was like when you were growing up, and put my context in it. Last 10 years, I spending thousands of pounds of my own money in West Africa, feeding and educating African kids, little black children. So people can call me racist all they want. I know my pedigree, and I know yours because I've known you past 4 years. And I know exactly where you're coming from. Do you want to just tell people about what your experience were growing up with black lads in Luton, who your mates were, and all that sort of stuff?
I don't see race, and I've never seen race. Yeah?
Me neither.
I don't give a shit. I'm not bothered.
Yeah,
and it's like I never have. And then what I saw, and that's why I made the video asking, "Is this all right?" That's like, I don't know if you've actually seen this. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if. Because I messaged one of my mates this morning who I was addressing in the video, because I tried ringing the other day and he told my mate, I said, don't want to talk to you. I'm thinking, what? We've known each other we've been mates for 20 years and you don't want to talk to me because I got pissed off because people desecrated our war memorials. And you don't, what, I don't get it. I do not. And I get that, look, what I wish now in hindsight was that I just made that hour-long video and I just put that out. And I addressed it to say, this is how you're being used. This is how we feel about it. Yeah. This is how the British public, and let's not pretend, because you can go under any comment on any news website, on any article, anywhere about what's currently happening with BLM, and you will see that 90% of the public are angry. They're not happy. And this organisation has come in, and in 7 days, it's caused more racial tension in this country than anyone has in 40, 50 years. It has brought us backwards. It has divided us very clearly, us, them. It's remained Brexit all over again, but through race. And I still feel like, look, me and my big mouth, yeah? It's me and my big mouth, but that, I'm a motive. That's how, if I see something and I watched it, and it really pissed me off. And it really, to see the scenes, and I just thought, do you know what? If someone's up on a war memorial, they're ripping at a flag, they're setting fire to it, and they're spray painting, how ain't no one else in that crowd stopping them?
Exactly.
Did you see fuck the Union Jack? Did you see where they said fuck the Union Jack?
That was in Belfast. That was in Belfast. That was actually in Belfast on the Saturday, and that girl was brought up in East Belfast. And I mean, to do that in Northern Ireland is even more incendiary than to do it in England, because of the religious connotations and the political connotations in Northern Ireland. So to do that is like just off the chart. And
the whole crowd was cheering it.
Yeah, exactly. But you see, these people, especially young people are impressionable, right? And I'm not going to patronize people, because at the end of the day, people know what they're doing, right? But young people are impressionable and they can get whipped along. And the problem is, I wonder how much of this is down to education now, because there's so much in the education system, so much in the media that is constantly doing down British history. Now, was all British history perfect? No, of course it wasn't, because we're warts and all. At the end of the day, we've got good and we've got bad, but the overall sum of where we're at now in the UK is a very, very equal society. And I know there's still inequalities everywhere, but as far as I can see, there is no racism to speak of in the UK. There's always the nut jobs that are either white supremacists or black supremacists, but there doesn't seem to be this racism. I just don't get it. It's not me for six, this, to be quite honest with you. This last 2 weeks, I'm left scratching my head going, where'd this come from?
Well, mate, I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from years of the media lying, yeah? And I wouldn't mind if people are angry based on reality. Yeah. But over the last 10 years in the UK, yeah, 160 white people have died within police custody, yeah? 13 black people. Yeah? Overall, it's 20 from BAME. Yeah? Now, the percentage-wise, that means you're more likely to die as a white man than as a black man in police custody, okay? Now, you wouldn't think that when you see today where they're all saying, we just want to live, stop killing us. I just think, but you're not, this isn't a reality. The narrative that's being pushed is totally false. And essentially, I saw a police officer video from the United States. In the United States last year, I'll put it in my video, there were 9 unarmed black men were shot dead. Yeah? 9. There were 19 unarmed white men. In the last year, there's only been 2. Yeah, the numbers simply, and the facts and the reality is totally different to what the media. I watched on Channel 4 News yesterday, as all they done was sit and show every victim that's black that's been a victim of racism or police brutality for probably the last 40 years. Yeah, but they could do that for white people. They could do the same. Yeah, but and if you have, I asked myself, COVID-19 was the most deadly thing in the world. And all we heard was everything about COVID-19.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. And it's just totally been replaced by BLM and race-baiting politics that are there to divide communities, that are there to enrage. I watched a video of all the lads in Luton doing a BLM protest, and they're shouting about killing the police. And I just think, where's all this come from? Because, okay, you're talking about George Floyd. Again, I've just watched the Hodge twins. They put a video out saying they're 2 black brothers. They put a video out about White Lives Matter, these black lads have. And they've showed how many white people have been murdered by the police in some of the most horrific crimes. Yeah. But no one knows who they are. And no one actually cares who they are. And in fact, when we hear about Black Lives Matter, I just think it's so hypocritical, because it's Black Lives Matter, but do none of the black lads that are being stabbed in London, did their lives not matter? Did you not feel when we had the biggest explosion in knife violence in our country's history in the last 12 months, that there was a need then for everyone to take to the streets in 10,000 and demand action and demand that young kids are not being killed because of postcodes? Real problems within a community that need tackling. But as soon as we can pin it on a white police officer who is a murdering bastard, yeah,
absolutely, totally agree,
on him, and we can push a narrative, then we'll blow it up, and then everyone's all willing to come out and smash everything up and attack everything. Which, to be honest, I sat there when BLM comes to the UK, bearing in mind I know how racist and extreme it is in the United States. I think there's 15 people they've murdered in the United States, yeah? Majority of them police officers. But when,
and a lot of them black as well. They've murdered a lot of black police officers. That's the disgusting thing about it.
And when I've seen all this, when they come to UK, I just thought, all right, it's here. We don't have those race divisions, so I didn't think it would take off. But you know what? Talk about the perfect storm. At the end of 3 months of every person being sat in their house with blue, then they throw this in. They throw this in the mix, and boom. What else is everyone doing this Saturday? What else is everyone doing this Saturday? They've got nothing to do.
You know what they need to do, Tommy? They need to open the pubs. That's the problem. Get the pubs open, it'll be sorted out. Everyone just go on the sesh. That's it.
Put the football back on.
Exactly. Football, pubs, that'll sort it all out. No problem whatsoever. But I think the other interesting thing was as well, we were all totally wound up about this. And the reality is, even if you hadn't said what you said, in fact, actually, I want to just, what I want to say is this, right? As far as I'm concerned, and I know I'll get flack for this, but I don't care. What you did on Sunday was the right thing to do on Sunday, without a shadow of doubt. That speech, because I listened to it, you did not say anything about race in that speech. Wasn't in there, right? Not a word, not a word. You weren't saying black people are doing this. You were talking about the monuments, the desecration of the War Memorial. Everyone was up in arms about it. People were coming to London anyway. I was going to swim. I'm on Alcatraz. I mean, I can't get out of Ireland. I was going to swim to flipping to England to get there. You know what I mean?
I had a phone call already from Chelsea lads saying that them, West Ham, Millwall, this was before. This was
exactly
saying everyone's going to the War Memorials, everyone's doing this. But my thing was, do you know what it is? It's the way I done it and the way that it was put out. And do you know what? And I don't blame the way it's been portrayed is that I was coming out against Black Lives Matters in per se, as in the average person who supports Black Lives Matters, which is not a far left communist Marxist. The organisation maybe, the funding maybe, the racism in the United States maybe, but to the average person coming out here, they'd have felt like, and I realised and I watched it, they'd have felt like I was coming on the attack against them, and they're fighting for justice because they're being hunted down in the street and slaved by racist police officers, because that's what they've been told. Yeah. So I watched that and I saw the way it blew up, and then I thought, well, now it's going to be more about me and them having a beef with me than it is people coming to protect war memorials. And that's why I said, look, my presence there, I know there's many veterans going, yeah? My presence in the middle of those veterans may be the catalyst to provoke mass disorder. Now, is my presence, do I want to defend war memorials? Yeah, totally. But is it going to do any good for race relations in the capital city? Could it be the catalyst to provoke a serious disorder with people who wish to defend me and people who wish to attack me? Because Antifa, 100% tomorrow, I believe they're even doing it now in Parliament Square, Antifa, far left, white liberals are going to jump all over this. And I done my own bit, because on that video, I've done my own bit, man, because that's what I think I played straight into them. I think the thing, I mean, that's out of the way to make sure those memorials got attacked, because they want the average English person to get annoyed, because they want the confrontation, they want the trouble, the disorder, they want the divide. Now, I think I played straight into it. I think I played straight into it because I was hot-headed. As I said, I'd just come out at 36 hours in Nick. I was pissed off anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of anger there, Tommy. And I think at the end of the day, that anger had to be expressed. And I think what's happened as a result of all this, and I think between the veterans, the football lads saying they were going to go, loads of other patriots saying they were going to go, not to fight. You know, I didn't see anybody saying they wanted to go and fight with black people or even with Antifa. All we said was we are going to defend our war memorials. That's all we said. And you know, I think saying that has actually, and I put a video out on, I think it was Tuesday night, and I challenged the Metropolitan Police and says, put your big boy pants on, get your riot shields out, get your helmets on, get your batons out, and go and do your job and defend those war memorials. Because if you do that, then veterans don't have to come and put themselves in risk. Women don't have to come and put themselves at risk. 50-year-old men don't have to come and put themselves at risk. You do your jobs that are taxes, because this only happened. This only happened because the police allowed it to happen. You know yourself, if you do a demonstration, the police have control. They can decide what happens. They decide the narrative, and they allowed that to happen at the weekend. And they could have stopped it. They could have put a ring of steel around Churchill, ring of steel around the Cenotaph. Nobody would have got near them. They allowed that to happen. And the Metropolitan Police, President Dick, they are the ones that are responsible for the situation that we found ourselves in. When you called people to go to defend the war memorial and defend Churchill's statue, that was not racist. And basically what's happened is it's been conflated by the media. So you've got the usual thing. You've got the mainstream media, the far left, and the police all working together to stitch us up. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what's happened. And, you know, anyone watching that should know.
It's worked, isn't it, in the sense that I spoke to the police earlier. I spoke to the police earlier because even I've got some little wannabe little gangsters, from Luton, whose brother converted to Islam years ago. I had a fallout with his brother, and now he's putting up the shit about my address. And the police have been in contact with me about this threat and that threat and that threat, all jumping on the bandwagon. People who have had an issue with me for years, or their brothers have, or we have a couple of little real far left black activists in Luton have just leapt on this, leapt on it. But when I spoke to the cop, he goes, I said, mate, you just got the runaround last week and you allowed all this. And he goes, totally different policing plan Saturday. I said, oh yeah, why is that then, mate? You tell me why that is. I said, what? Because there was an opposition now. Your intelligence has told you that football supporters from across this country are deciding to descend on London. You know that, I know that. You've also been told that coaches are booked. You've also been told that veterans are coming. Your intelligence will know full well what you're going to face now in the capital city over the war memorials being attacked. And you know that the public are supporting an opposition to it, because you know the public are angry with your failure to do your job. Your job is to enforce the law. You didn't do it. 70 police officers got injured. And then the media told everyone it's peaceful demonstrations. They're getting flattened off their horses. They're getting bricked. They're getting bottled. They're getting battered. And the media crop it, hide it, and lie. Now, but the public are more aware of that because they're all following social media. So he said there's a totally different policing response. But it was your failure. If I wouldn't have even got that angry, because those war memorials should never have got near them. You knew they're going to try and do it. They're doing it all over the country now. You knew it. You let them do it. And then I got angry. My little red head nearly exploded. But at the same time, I said even like, and then I see today. So there was £100,000 reward put up for me from some little fucking rap gang. They put up to 200 grand. So thanks again, lads.
If it goes to $500,000, Tommy, I tell you, I might take them up on that, mate. You know.
I messaged your mate saying, "How can I contact OFB?"
We cashed in, you know.
How can I come over? Yeah, give me the money, mate.
I used to do it in Belfast for 50 quid, Tommy. You know what I mean? So
I think you can get someone done in Luton for fucking 100 quid. 200 quid. 200 grand. I'm actually feel great.
Luton's most wanted.
Every penny. Every penny. The funny thing is, I don't know what rapper. I don't know. I just look, because I don't know who all these people are. They're all these stupid names. But anyway, my main thing with it was, look, banter aside, I don't want beef. I don't want to drive a wedge, because that's what's about to happen. And it's going to happen because of the actions that are happening under their banner. It's going to happen under the banner of BLM. The racism, the violence, the attacks on war memorials, the demands, which look, I don't think you'll find a black person in this country really cares about 40 Towers or any historical comedy shows. Again, like everything, this is white liberals who are enforcing the destruction of the total history of a country, get rid of its history, get rid of its culture. You've got a recipe which is what they want for a revolution, which is what many of these real revolutionists, communist Marxists are pushing for. And they see that they can use the black community. That's all this is about. You really think those people wearing total black, masked, smashing police officers, smashing banks, you really think they give a shit? Do you really think they care about the black community? Do you? And the worst thing is, and I
mean, you know, what I had, as you know, I had Pastor Wally Babatunde on the show on, I think it was Wednesday night, and we were talking about Nigeria. And I said to him, I says, why aren't Black Lives Matter interested in what's happening in Nigeria? In Nigeria, there are thousands of black African Christians being murdered every year. We're talking thousands every year by half Arab Fulani tribesmen who are Muslim fundamentalists who drive their cattle through their farms. And when the black African Christians complain, they shoot the men and they take the little girls off and take them as sex slaves. And guess what the police do in Nigeria? Exactly what they do in the UK. They cover up the sex trafficking of non-Muslim girls by these Muslim Fulani tribesmen. And I was talking to Pastor Wally about that. He works in those areas in Nigeria. I've got to be careful what I say, obviously, because he's, you know, he I just don't want to compromise him that sort of way. But the bottom line is that is happening. Why don't Black Lives Matter showing interest in that? And how can black lads convert to Islam when their sort of brothers or whatever in Nigeria are literally being tormented by Muslims who are not black Muslims? It's absolutely incredible what's happening, and it's just been ignored. It's ignored by the mainstream media as well. Nobody's talking about this sort of stuff.
They're all about historical slavery. When there's loads of black slaves now in Libya in cages, tied up, being sold by Arabs. That's happening now, right now. So we need to go back through history, and if we want to get rid of everything to do with slavery, if that's what this is about. Yeah? But again, I don't believe the black community of this country are the ones demanding all of these requests. I don't think that topple the racist with 200 statues is the black community of the UK. It's far left. It actually says the Trump coalition. It is there to cause a divide. It's there to wind everyone up. And where do you draw the line? As we said, who was the slave owner? Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad. Do you want to take the mosque down? Are BLM going to start taking the mosque down? Are they going to prevent the Quran being taught because it talks about keeping slaves in there? Where do you draw the line? Are the Irish going to start demanding Cromwell statue? Are we going to see the pyramids knocked down? Is the Colosseum coming down? Where do you start?
Listen, I want to get back at the Romans for what they did to the Christians, and they came to England. They took a whole lot of English slaves to Rome. I want some money off the Italians. I want the Italians to give me reparation. Do you know what I mean? It's the whole thing's farcical. It's absolutely.
You know what it is? It's because of the history and the more recent history of oppression and racism, and many parents who would have come here in the 50s or 60s will have understood it, and it will still be, they'll talk to their children against it. My mum says, when she comes, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Yeah. Okay, all right. I'm not bitter about that. We've progressed, we've moved on. Yeah. I'm not getting upset with fucking the people of Luton or the English people of Luton, the original. It's just not happening. So I think this is causing so much division, and I hope there's leaders in the black community who are really realizing that they are being totally used here. They're being used, and it's not going to be to the benefit of their community's reputation.
Exactly. And I mean, the reality is I spoke to one of the veteran lads, a black lad. He was in the green jackets. He was a police officer. And he said exactly the same as you said. When his parents came to England, they'd go to a house and it would literally say, no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. That's what it would say. So he said there was racism then. And when he was growing up in the 70s, he was a football lad before he went in the army and the police, but he'd be fighting the National Front. So he'd be actually fist fighting the National Front. He says, but my kids never have to put up with any of that. He says, there isn't any of that anymore. And this is a black lad saying this to me. He's horrified by what's happening.
I know. They're reintroducing it. I've just watched on the news about them talking about oppression still now. And I just think, really? Really?
I've
grown up in Luton. And even my mates, the couple of them who haven't wanted to speak to me.
Yeah.
You were the most popular boys in school. You had all the girls you wanted, yeah? You've got great jobs. You live in great houses. You've gone on to have good careers. I don't get it. I don't get the cry for the fact that everything's been against you. But obviously, I just don't. And that's not to say I'm not saying there isn't racism in places in the UK. And there's not victims of racism. But again, the facts and the numbers show the majority of victims of racism in the UK are white. And it's the reality. It's just a statistical fact going through the numbers of all of the research. And it's so I just think when we hear this, and you know what, when we set up the English Defence League, that's another thing that's happening. When we set up the English Defence League, I really went out on a limb with I had physical fights with far-right Nazis, yeah?
I know.
Demonstrations. I had one lad, Stevie Carroll, come from Newcastle, and I had a toe-to-toe with him out the back of the pub because he was part of a Nazi organisation. I made a video at home saying, if any of you Nazis have got a problem, come to Luton. I'm not hard to find. I'll meet any one of you. I'm out the back of he turned up at Luton's main football pub. The landlord rang me up. I've gone to the pub, walked in. I've gone out the back and we've knocked the hell out of each other, yeah? I've done all of that. I've confronted them. I've burned the Nazi flag. I made it very clear that under my banner, you extremists and you racists ain't welcome, yeah? And then I see Black Lives Matter, whose founders are racist. Their founders are racist. The movement is racist. And I don't see any condemnation I don't see any attempts. In fact, I don't see anything. I just see everyone putting up black fists. And I just think, look, lads, if you didn't understand the movement, okay. If you didn't understand what they're about, okay. But I've made an hour and 7-minute video. Just watch it now and understand who they are.
I think the thing is, what you said there, I think what Tommy just said, that we've all had the same situation where we've spoken out against the far right. The veterans did it. The DFLA did it. I've done it personally. Tommy's done it. Almost everyone in our movement that believes what we believe, that believes there's fundamentally a problem with extremism of all different sorts. But at the same time, because we have spoken out against the far right, I'm quite comfortable speaking out against people in the black community who are racist, because a racist is a racist. It doesn't matter whether you're a black racist or a white racist. If you're saying black people or white people are inferior, either way, it's wrong, and I'll condemn it. And look, I'll take the knocks for it. I don't care, because at the end of the day, you've got to tell the truth. And that's the problem. These people that are leading this group are lying, and they are racist. They're racist against white people. And that's going to be more damaging to their community than it is to the community that they're being racist against. And that's what worries me. So I think we've shown leadership in our movement. We need to see people showing leadership and standing up and saying this is wrong. But the problem is they won't get a platform, because the mainstream media is a huge problem in this. Let's talk about the media, Steve.
I have seen quite a lot of black people currently, even today, sharing messages. Like the lad I put at the end of my hour and 7 minutes. Luke, I've seen a few people on our own social media of VK doing great breakdowns and understanding. It's how do we get that message? My hour and 7-minute video, how many little average black lads are going to actually sit and watch that hour and 7-minute video? Yeah? Not many. They're just going to watch the little bit that tells them that racist hooligans are coming to beat them up in London or coming to fight them in London, which isn't the reality at all, and it never was. But so I guess my angry rant gave power to that. That's the thing I'm disappointed about, is the way it was spun out. Because am I disappointed for getting upset about our war memorials being defaced? No, it is totally unacceptable. That behaviour, unacceptable. And if it's allowed to flourish, and if it's allowed to happen, if no one said anything, if that video didn't go viral, if I didn't get as angry, if everyone else didn't start making plans, if the Football Lads Alliance didn't come out so strong, I know the pressure that any of those leaders of the Football Lads Alliance would have been under this week. Yeah, I get it, because they're all going to have black lads like I've got black lads who I'm friends with, and they've all have been getting the phone call, and they'd all have been getting grief because of the way it was portrayed and played. Yeah, And I think the fact that they stuck and stood to their guns, because the guns are, we're not against blacks. Yeah, we're not. We're protecting our war memorials. And the minute when the lads are too worried to say that would be a real dark day in our country for our reputation as English men, as being willing to. It's essentially now, if I've sent that message to all my mates, if I've got a friend that doesn't want to talk to me after watching an hour and 7-minute video, then the problem's on him, not on me. Because
Absolutely.
he should be upset with the people spraying BLM on our war memorial. He should be saying that he's going to defend. That's what I feel. I feel okay, you go defend the war memorial. Because some arseholes who are latching onto the back of BLM, probably white people, wearing balaclavas, are going to be spray painting all of the things that we hold dear. And it's just not acceptable.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that did hearten me, and again, I don't believe that this mobilization this week was racist or far right. That wasn't what it was about at all. The mobilization was to defend the war memorials. And I did a speech at one of your trials in you were inside, so you didn't hear it. But it was basically which one? Yeah, I think you've been inside more than out since I know you. But the in fact, actually, there is a persecuted minority in this country who is 10,000 times more likely to be harassed in the police than anybody else. It's that minority called Tommy Robinson. So
I was going to make a video of all the times the police are following me and harassing me, and just say I challenge any black man in the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Please compete with this. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, like in Northern Ireland, like I mean, there's people that have murdered people in government, terrorists, and I go. Every time I spoke to him, Tommy, what have you actually done that's so bad? I can't work it out. Oh yeah, you've spoken out against the book. But what a heinous crime, you know. But no, I mean, I made a speech and I said, where are the men of England? And I think last week what happened was there was a mobilisation and they stood up. The men of England stood up and they were going to come, and they don't need to come now because it's the reality is the threat of them coming is enough.
There's quite a lot still going.
I think so. I think there are people still going to go. Yeah, I think there are. But I mean, they don't need to, because at the end of the day, you know,
it should never be boarded up.
Exactly.
Yes, they've done that because they wouldn't want the optics of lads or men standing to defend it against people coming to attack it. The optics are terrible.
Sadiq Khan. That's Sadiq Khan got it boarded up. Sadiq Khan did that. That's not what they should have done. Avi Yemeni shared a photograph on YouTube of what the police in Australia did around their memorials. They had horses, they had police with batons drawn. Nobody was getting near those memorials. What the police should have done this weekend is put a ring of steel of police around those memorials, not covered them up, because that's a win. And Sadiq Khan doesn't like Winston Churchill either. You know, that's the bottom line. You know, but I mean, but the other thing is, I mean, obviously, what this does, and this is how it's very clever, it detracts away from the big issue, because the Islamists must be laughing their heads off now, looking at us fighting against each other. You know, and I mean, we've got a big issue with the you know, we're talking about racism. 1 million English girls raped by Pakistani men. That's racism. That right there is racism, and that's what's happening in the UK. And you know, I don't know what you think about this, Steve. Obviously, you know, the Hearts of Oak guys are organising this this demo about the grooming in the middle of July. I think you're invited. I'm invited. I would actually ask the guys that were going to come down that aren't coming this weekend, come to that demonstration, and the black lads, get them to that demonstration as well, because their girls in Nigeria are suffering this sort of stuff as well. Let's have a genuine anti-racism demo against the racism of white English girls and black Nigerian girls getting raped by Muslim fundamentalist jihadists. That's, you know, that's where I go with it.
Well, it's always a benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to answer bail in 2 weeks as well.
You going where, mate?
I've got to answer bail for Barrow.
Oh, what's happening with the court cases, mate? What's going on with all these court cases?
So Barrow, as you all know, I got some great. I was really up there getting into the story, understanding, finding out, getting all sides of the story. Yeah. Understanding people who have been accused, people who claim they're innocent. And I've got to be careful actually because of my bail. I've got to be careful because of my bail conditions. But yeah, I was up there working. A young lad come up to me. And this is where I find it quite funny, is because I was worried though, yeah. I record everything. I mean everything. Yeah. Everything. When I went up here with what's going on, I was wearing a wire at all times of my time in Barrow. Yeah? And then a boy comes up to me, he swears at me, I tell him to go away, he then spits straight in my face. Now I defend myself. I don't go over the top in defending myself. I just defend myself. Then he gets up and I tell him off. I literally stand there and tell him off. He admits to what he'd done. At no point does he make any accusation against me in the 10 minutes I'm telling him off. Now, when it comes to him giving his statement, he makes an accusation of a hate crime. Okay, I've been arrested on a hate crime. A hate instigated GBH. That's what I've been nicked on, yeah? Because he has a broken bone as well. Now, what he doesn't realise when he's made this lie is that I've got everything that was said on recording. Yeah? So he's perverted the course of justice in order to get an ulterior charge against me. When I looked up who the boy is, his mum and dad donated, I think, £250,000 to the police. They're very heavily involved with the police force. And then this rich little kid, like they all are, has come up to me and thought he could just get away with abusing me and spitting in my face and threatening me. I've been arrested. My car's been seized. My entire team, 4 people, have been arrested. I don't know what they thought they might have done. Yeah, I don't know what they thought my cameraman might have done, but he was arrested. Phones taken off everyone, computers seized, memory cards seized, everything seized, cameras seized, car seized. Took the car. The car's gone. They've got it. Someone sent me a picture of it today in some place in Barrow. The police have got it. Now, what the hell? I started thinking, well, what the hell does me giving a slap to some kid who spits in my face got to do with you seizing all of our stuff? And then at 11 o'clock in the morning, so they arrested me on GBH. 11 o'clock in the morning, they come in my cell and arrest me for perverting the course of justice. And then they had comments made to them by someone who I was speaking to that day, who tells them I said something to them. Again, I've got it all recorded, yeah? I record everything. So it's like, I'm sitting there thinking, what? But then I think, well, I've got it all recorded, but then the police take the camera, yeah? The police take everything. So I come out of the police station and I'm thinking, it's all right, everything's where I think it is, yeah? I've been questioned for, they can hold you for 24 hours. They got an extension. They got an extension because they were putting in for charges. They were putting in for, and I've read all the things now about a girl went to the police station, tried to give a statement. They messed her around for 3 hours. They were putting in for charges. So they attempted to charge me and they put in to remand me. So I phone home. I speak to my wife at 6 o'clock that evening. I've been in there for, 24 hours then. I speak to my wife and say, you all right? And she's like, no, I'm fucking not all right. And I'm like, I'll get over it, man. I said, he spat in my face. What do you want me to do? She goes, what do we want to do? You're getting remanded. I've just spoken to your solicitor. And I was just like, oh, no, Grandma. And I said, what? I said, I'm going to get remanded. She goes, you're getting done for GBH. He's broken this. And I was like, oh, shit. And it's the first time. And she goes, you didn't know? I said, no, I didn't know. I've been sitting in there with my feet up. Like, just thinking, just watching this. I was shouting to the cameraman, Paul, when we get out of here, we're going to McDonald's. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the phone to her, and I was just like, oh, shit, man. And I was thinking, remanded, this is going to take a year to get to court. So I'm doing a year. So I got put back in my cell. I hadn't even been interviewed. Put back in my cell at 6 o'clock, and I lay there. Oh, not again, man. And then they come in, they interviewed me. They got me through to interview. You're not allowed your solicitor in there because of all these new rules. I've done my interview and I'm still thinking, like, they're going through everything. I'm thinking, what's the charge? Like, he spat in my face. Yeah. He spat in my face and dropped his bike. He was aggressive. He took a slap. That's it. There's nothing else to this. But then they said the hate crime. And I was like, the lying little bastard. But then, as I said, I wasn't that bothered because I thought I've got it all. I know I can disprove everything they've said in the interview. Yeah, I know I can disprove it. Yeah. So I said to the police officer at the end of the interview when the tapes went off, I just said, well, you're going to look stupid, like really stupid, because I can prove everything that's just been said as a lie. And I know that they lied. I know that they lied. They lied in their statement. They said that, I don't even know if I can say this, but they said something's happened which I know to be false. but they said it in interview because they wanted to present a judge in the morning with a case for GBH perverting the course of justice, and to perverting the course of justice, it was a total lie that they had. And I know that, yeah? I know 100%. I think I can prove it. My solicitors are in the process of doing it. I know. So the judge would have looked at it. It's Tommy Robinson. He's here. He's clapped. This case is going to collapse. Put him in jail through lies, yeah? But then, so I'd done my interview. I finished my interview at 10 p.m. They put me in bed. I went back to bed and I lay there and that was it. I was like, and I was stressed, man, because I thought, not again, bro. I've told my kids this ain't gonna. I'm just going to work. All I've done was go to work. Yeah. This is the third summer now. I thought this is going to be the third summer, and I felt like I let my kid. I was feeling all of these things. I ended up falling asleep, and at 12 o'clock midnight, when the door opens, he goes, "Go on, you're going." I was like, "What? What do you mean I'm going?" He goes, "Yeah, get yourself ready. The CPS have refused to charge." And I was like, so I just thought everything's a cut case, yeah. They're stitching me up. This is happening. And I thought, the CPS have refused to charge. So how can I just thought, they must have clear evidence that contradicts what they've said, yeah? Well, they know that they were bullshit. And then I think maybe because I told the police officer I've got recordings of everything, you're going to look stupid. I don't really know what's gone on. But they then let me, because their extension was till 3 o'clock in the morning, they let me go at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I thought my friends had all gone home, but one of my mates was still there. So I didn't know he was still there until I was getting out. I was like, "Yes, what you say? You're all right." And then, and luckily, this legend called Mike from Liverpool had preempted driving up there in case we got out. Yeah. So I come out at 1. I come out at 3 in the morning, and then when they let us out, I rang home, and she said someone's on their way. Glenn Safar and Paul Golding had between them sorted out this lad to come up. So I rang the lads and said, "How far are you?" And the police put us in this waiting room, but our bail conditions were we were to be police escorted out of Cumbria. Bail conditions not to talk about child sexual exploitation in Cumbria. Now, if as an investigative journalist who's making a documentary, who's making a real in-depth report, two sides of it. I was going to do an update to let people know briefly what's happening in this town. And then I was going to follow each side as the cases go on. And I made it very clear in my meetings with each person I met that nothing that I talk about with anyone here is going to be broadcast that can be detrimental to any leading cases. Yeah? I wasn't doing that. So as a journalist, I'm allowed to interview whoever I want, based on the fact that I don't put that footage out. And that's what I had an agreement. I've got recordings of it. But they let us go at 3 o'clock in the morning. Police escorted us to Lancaster. Someone dropped us from there to Liverpool. We got dropped at a house in Liverpool. Mark, your legend, dropped me back to Luton because he was on his way to defend the memorials. Yeah. Back then, he was going. Them lads were going back then to defend the memorials.
Yeah, exactly, and that was it. I mean, and as far as I know, the police gave an undertaking to someone the day before. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, you just said it there. The police lied, right? So, so the police are lying, right? So, how can we have any faith when the police tell us something about them going to defend memorials? How can we have any faith that they're going to do what they say they're going to do? The police phoned me after I did my video on whatever night it was, and said to me, just like I said to you, there's a massive operation in place for this weekend, blah blah blah, and all the rest of it. I went, well, how do we know? Because you've told us stuff before and you've lied to us before. I said, why don't the Met put out a statement saying you will defend the memorials and you will defend the statue? That's what I've got to say. That's what I've got to say, isn't it?
No one's asking you to do anything special. Just do your job.
Just actually do what we pay our taxes for. Yeah. you know what I mean? I mean, what do you think, Tommy, for the future? I mean, where are we at? I mean, are we? I mean, sometimes I get despondent. I just think, just like you just look and you go, what's going to happen? I mean, where are we at, mate?
No, I got the Barrow story flew up. I hired a new team. I put together my new team. My new editor and cameraman had never been arrested in their life. And I've got some gold footage because whilst I'm up in this flat and the police are outside, my phone rings. I'm like, hello. And it's my mate who's outside the van. He goes, we're all getting nicked, bruv. And I was like, we're getting nicked. And it's all recorded. And I'm sitting there, I said, nicked, yeah. And then it's funny because we start laughing, but I take the camera. Oh, no, actually, the lad I was interviewing takes the camera and turns it onto the cameraman. Mate, he's white. He's come out and won't work me again.
And they're still working with you? You've still got them? They're still there? No, they're gone.
He's never been arrested. He can't believe what happened. The pressure, he's on bail, all of these things that the police intentionally done. I don't know what ground they had to arrest it, but I had the altercation, I had the run-in. It was self-defence. It's very clear within law what I'm allowed to do. I've got a video. I've actually got a video. I'm waiting for my barrister, a meeting with a barrister, because I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to release any of these videos, which will prove the boy's a liar. He lied. He should be done for further in the course of justice. He should be. In fact, I received a letter today as a victim of crime and a crime reference number. So he has now been arrested for for spitting in my face. Which actually, they're independent witnesses. The man I was interviewing in the car park gave a statement, which I found out, which clearly identified that for no reason the man come up to me, he was aggressive, and he spat straight in my face. So I hope.
And the thing is, mate, I mean, I've had people spit in my face. I was speaking on the street years ago. I've had it when I was in the military, and it's impossible not to react. It's just impossible. You cannot not. When someone puts a greener down the side of your face, it's impossible not to do something about that.
During COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. That's attempted murder.
During COVID-19, you're going to spit off anyone else who spat in anyone's face has gone straight to jail for 6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah. In my interview, they're saying, right, why didn't you ring the police? I'm sitting thinking, when someone threw a milkshake over my head, you dropped them at the train station, lads. Are you taking the piss? Are you for real? Like I can ring you and you're going to do something? You've turned up today and nicked me. He hadn't even made a complaint. You know when they come and arrested me, they had no complaining. They just knew from some intelligence that I'd been in an altercation in the car park. So they arrested me, then went searching for the person.
So they hadn't even got. So he didn't even go to the police station and complain.
No, they just come and nick me. They knew a prank had happened. We nicked it all, and then they went searching for the person who actually committed the assault. And then they found him, and then they kept us again. They tried to remand us. But then it was quite worrying. It was a worry for me that I'm on bail. I'm answering on 26th. And you know what? I was so buzzing. If you look at the little promos we put together, well, this is a real interesting story that needs telling. I was lining up a few more good things with the new team, and then bang.
And I mean, but that's what they want, you see, because what the whole issue with this is. The authorities don't want this story being told, because this story, and that's why, the rape of Britain, this documentary, the whole of this story is the biggest story in modern British history in terms of crime, cover-up, racism, scandal. There is nothing bigger than this. And, the BBC sort of tickled it when they did that Three Girls documentary. This is huge. This is just the biggest thing in all our lifetimes in terms of a scandal and a crime, and they don't want to get it out.
Innocence. I've done an interview with the owner of a restaurant up there, and there's not one single accusation against this man from anyone. And I've searched, and he's right phone in the middle of it because of an employee from his place, and it was quite. I spent. Again, I'm trying to find everything. So I'm taking everyone's opening up to me up there. There was, even though they've been told not to, a lot of the Muslims were willing to meet with me to tell me their side of the story. But this actual lad, which I haven't been able to put the interview out, I don't even know what I can and can't say. But I felt bad. I felt bad for the victims. A male victim whose life's been destroyed because of an accusation. If there's no truth in that accusation, then it's an absolute libby. Yeah? And there should really be a change in law. There should be a change in law that the male accused probably can't be named unless there's evidence of some sort. And that currently so many people's names are thrown around at the minute, especially in that town. Multiple ones are being thrown around. And when you try and get to the bottom of it, which I was trying to do, is there truth in it? Is there actually anything against this one shop owner who said his family built that business over 30 years. Seemed like a really nice lad. And do you know what? There's an English lad who met him with me, who was a good lad and all. And he's like, mate, do you think I'll be sitting here with this lad if I thought he was one of them? He goes, and look, the police again. So I wanted to tell. There's so many sides to stories, and essentially, I wanted to tell all these sides with a video. And if there's innocent people whose lives have been destroyed, because it's very easy if a story fits, especially for us. It's what we want. It's what we say. It's what we've spoke about. And if
that's it. The bottom line is the reality is we have, and I believe, I think it's a well-informed prejudice, but we have a prejudice because we know what's happened. So
I said to him, mate, you're going to takeaway. You're in a town. This has gone on. If it wasn't for the police cover up and the failure in this city, every city, then people would believe firsthand when they hear something. But because of what's gone on, people are feeling this, feeling that. And I think that's why he was probably willing, and he said, I'll help in any way I can. And he's offered help. And do you know what? I sat with him and I went through his phone and I went through his emails. I went through everything. And he has been bombarding the police to try to clear his name. But because there's a live investigation on another case, it's like, I don't know. But again, I think it was all an important story to tell. And it's an important story to tell so people understand on all sides, even us. Like I said, I had the intention originally, even on this other grooming scandal thing I was going to do, is to, if there's enough evidence, but if it's just hearsay, and there ain't no concrete, tell me this, tell me that, then I met multiple men whose lives have been destroyed.
Yeah.
I met multiple girls whose lives have been destroyed. I met multiple parents whose lives have been destroyed. But again, I wanted to document it in a professional way and put together a story for people to probably look at. Yeah, I don't know. But obviously, I still hope to do it, because when this gets kicked out, I'm still going to send cameras to the key events that are happening in Barrow. I'm still going to, my bail conditions prohibit me from being outside going into Cumbria. They don't prohibit me from meeting people to interview them outside of Cumbria, which I may well do. But I've just got to hold tight now till the 26th under the advice of my lawyer. Because I said, if they've got nothing on me, I can show the judge the video now, and I can show them the recordings of every meeting I've ever had. It's a total bullshit charge.
Yeah,
holding me on bail for it, along with my colleagues, so we cannot enter or talk about these issues. Whereas really, as an investigative journalist, I should be in Barrow now. I should be talking, hearing, understanding, putting together. I said, even with the local journalists, people don't trust you. Okay, you don't want me here. Well, it's a sad state of affairs that it's me that has to come here, because the general public won't believe what you say. But if I put together a piece and say, this is what I found, they'll believe me.
Exactly.
Because I'm putting an agenda with it. And I said from the start, if the truth in that town, whatever the truth is, that's all I want to find. When I'm talking to people, even when I'm talking to those accused, so all I want to do is put out the truth. And ask some very difficult, uncomfortable questions to people that the journalists haven't asked and won't ask. And actually, I find out the police ain't even bloody asked them.
Yeah, I mean, and it's sometimes it's easier not to tell the truth, because and again, from our point of view, sometimes we think that we've got the handle on it before we start looking at it, and then we realise, hold on a minute, there's a lot more to it. Because again,
I was up there, I kept just looking at the camera. What?
Yeah. What next? Yeah. I mean, what about the future in terms of politics and that sort of thing, Tommy? What's your thoughts? Where do we go? I mean, I personally, the only show I see in town is Anne-Marie Waters for Britain. That's all I can see. I can't see anything else. And I'm really starting to speak. I'm very after what happened with UKIP. I'm still a bit cautious, because
what happened was when Anne-Marie put her neck out on the line for me and she was harassed through UKIP for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anne-Marie, and I haven't even had this conversation with her, but I could understand that Anne-Marie would have felt when I decided to buddy up with Gerard Batten, who I think Gerard Batten is the best politician that's never been. Yeah,
Absolutely.
He put out a statement 2 days ago saying you're walking into a trap if you're going into London, and everything he ever says, I just think he's and my dealings with him, I think he's brilliant. Yeah? But
me too.
I chose to go with what I thought at the time UKIP had the biggest platform and the biggest momentum, and Anne-Marie probably felt maybe let down by me for that and a few other things, but Anne-Marie has stood staunch the whole time. Yeah, she stood staunch the whole time, and I think that there may have been the problem may have been within UKIP. Some in UKIP, I think, may have actually been down to their own problems with her and things about her. And that's what I felt. And I think Anne-Marie's brilliant. So again,
yeah, me too. You know, that's. I mean, I think because we need one of the things we, you know, what becomes more and more obvious as we look at the politicians. I mean, you know, you look at the Conservatives. I don't trust the Conservatives. I mean, if anyone living in the north of England, the old man was never trust a Tory, and I still don't trust them. And Labour a million times worse. So we need to find a way to get people like Anne-Marie, to get her traction, get her into Parliament, get yourself back into the political game if you're up for it. Because
in the MEP campaign, I had a fabulous month. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I learned a lot during it as well.
Would you do it again? You think, Tommy? Would you do it again? Yeah. I mean, and the other thing is, like, you know, you got what 40,000 votes?
I think 40,000.
45,000 votes, so whatever it was. But that's not inconsequential considering you didn't have a political machine behind you. That was standing as an independent.
We got 2%. It was all about Brexit, yeah?
Yeah.
And the Brexit Party smashed it. At the next election, when the Brexit Party still stood, they got 2%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about Brexit. Okay. It was about Brexit. I think that if the Brexit issue wasn't there and the Brexit Party wasn't there, I'd have done a hell of a lot better. And I think that. So what I said is, as a political party goes, I'd rather someone else, which is what I said to Gerard. You do all that political party side of it, yeah? I want to make my videos. I want to tell stories with videos that make people think. I want to put together document. I want to do all these different things. And to be honest, as I said, just when I was getting back to work the other week, I've had a break. I come out of jail and had a break, and I needed it. Yeah? I really needed it. And it's just always something blows up. So even then I thought, right, we're ready to go out of work, and then boom, Barrow, I get nicked, and then I'm on a GVH, and then boom, BLM, and then boom, something else, and it's just non-stop. And I'm answering Bow in 2 weeks. I've got that fat chubby mess. Stutchbury solicitors contacted me there again. My barrister, I'm having to pay a barrister to argue about that. I've got the other court case. I'm waiting for a date for 3 different cases at the minute, and it's just continued. But I really.
There's not really much going on in your life at the minute, Tommy. Sure, there's not. You know, you must be a bit bored. You know.
I was going to say that's why, and even this, but I really was in a real good buzz for that Barrow with the team. Yeah. I'd seen the little trailers we put together. I hope people agreed that they were the best work.
It was good. Yeah, it was.
I could see how, and we had a discussion with the team what we can do. We know, and they knew what we could do. I knew what I could do. Said with this team, I know what I can get out there and do. And I say he was worried about work on me. Afterwards, no, that's it. I'm done. We're a week on, and we're back talking, and I'm hoping we'll work again. So hopefully we'll be back.
Listen, I tell you what, it will have certainly give him a bit of excitement. You know, a bit of adrenaline pump is never a bad thing. You know.
I said in 2 weeks when this is gone, you'll laugh about it.
Exactly.
You'll laugh about it.
They weren't charged with anything. The camera guys weren't charged. They were just.
I said, but the thing is, I come out of Nick, come home, and I didn't have any of the recordings. And when I say my kids looked, and my kids looked, and I mean, I was like, I could have cried, because then I thought, well, now I'm on a hate crime, and now I'm on further course justice, and I can't do shit because they've got. They've got it. And then it took 48 hours, and I was stressing. Probably the worst 48 hours I've had in a long time, because in my head I felt sick for 2 days. I felt sick because I just thought I'm screwed here. I'm screwed, and I haven't done it. But then I went to see someone and get to see a forensic person who deals with retrieving data, and I got it back, and then it was like, oh, I've got it, I've got all the recordings, and I was so happy, man. And I was so happy, but that was this was after the BLM stuff. So in that 48 hours I was sitting there ready to lose my head anyway, without watching people tear down war memorials and disrespect our war dead, etc., etc. And I just blew up, and then well, I mean, the thing is, who knocked on my door? Someone knocked on my door, and they was like, and they could hear me. I'm a mate, and he was like, "What the hell's going on?" And it was me screaming at my phone about BLM, and it was, oh god.
Mate, I did this just before you did your stream. I'd done a live stream on YouTube, literally, and I was swearing like a drunken sailor. I never swear on a live stream, and I've actually put it on private because I was that embarrassed about it. I was going absolutely mental.
Embarrassed about it. Have you seen all the mock ones of mine? Some of them are like the little mix, and the one of the trade with the black lad on the trade, like gold, the best. Humorous cut together I've ever seen. Yeah, I watched it. I wasn't just crying. I was with my son. He was crying. My little girl had one of her friends had put it up, and my daughter had messaged them saying something like, "Oh, you idiot," or something. I sent her a voice note saying, "Babe, listen, that is one of the funniest videos I've ever watched. Yeah? And you're 12 years old, and all your friends are 12 years old, and a lot of 12-year-old kids are going to have something to say about what Daddy's recently done. So don't ever feel you need to defend me over anything, because I don't want you putting your neck out, and I don't want you falling out of people, least of all when it's something so funny."
Yeah. I mean, poor Little Mix. Like, I mean, were they involved in this?
My kids go to see him. I actually like him.
Just don't make sure your wife drops them off, Tommy. Don't drop them off yourself, mate. You know what I mean?
No more. My kids have had the VIP package when they went to see Little Mix. Daddy, why are you starting on Little Mix? So what it was? It was.
Well, listen, it's a father's job to embarrass his children, Tommy. You know what I mean, mate?
I've done that this week, bro. I've done a good job of that this week.
Oh, but so listen. So you got these court cases. What's next after that? What's the next thing on the agenda?
My daughter's telling me I'm too loud. Look.
I built myself a padded cell to do all this.
What's on the next agenda? Court. I don't know, mate. I'm 26th.
Yeah.
I'm now waiting for the 26th. I'm on bail.
What's that now? 26. That's Barrow, is it, right?
26 Barrow. And whilst on bail, the problem is when I sat in that cell, I thought, well, I'm going to get before a judge. The judge is going to hear about all these bad charges.
Yeah.
I'm going to be remanded, and then it's the court, and then it's the system, and then it'll take a year. So, and you know what? I lay there, and the honest thing I thought is, I've done 3 months in the last 2 years, 3 months and 3 months of solitary confinement.
Yeah.
If I was looking at 3 months, I think, all right. But when I was sitting there thinking, a fucking year, I'm going to be sat in that room on my own for a year. And I was generally panicked. I was pretty panicked. Not panicked because I've done a year in jail before. But it's a very different year. If you're sat on your own, 23 and a half hours a day, nothing to do. I just thought, oh, mate. I was like, oh, not again, man. The only thing I did is, I'll lose a bit of weight again. That's the only thing.
Well, that's it. You could write a book. You could read a few books and lose a bit of weight. You know.
My next one's ready. My first draft of my next one is literally ready.
Lockdown must have been so easy for you, Tommy. You know what I mean?
I said stop moaning. But I've sat I have sat and I've literally got my first draft ready of my next book.
Brilliant.
Which brings Enemy of the State up to date. Which again, there's probably another whole chapter been wrote this week.
Yeah.
It probably ain't ready now. I've got.
So is it going to be Enemy of the State plus extra chapters, or is it going to be a completely new book?
It's going to be a recap briefly, Enemy of the State, and then everything that's happened since, and a bit of a projection. So Prisoner of the State is the word.
Prisoner of the State. And when's that due to come out, mate? Wednesday.
I'll have the first draft, but then that's last time I had done about 8 drafts. So we've got a book anyway, a working book.
Yeah, a working book. Yeah. So So we can have all the followers on the thing. They can have a nice Christmas present for 2020.
Oh, it's definitely going to be out by then.
Out for Christmas, yeah. So that'll be a thing.
I'm going to get out by the end of summer.
Yeah. Well, mate, listen. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And what do we say to people about tomorrow and about what's happening with this? Just to close off.
Look, as I said in my video, I sat and thought about it long and hard. You're going to have now pumped up young black lads who are going not to attack memorials, because they never would have attacked a memorial. They're going now because of a bit of how they feel they've been called out and how they feel I've mobilised people against them, which is totally not what I've done, and totally not why anyone's going there. But because that's the atmosphere and that's the way it's portrayed, I just tell people going. Like every time, drink never helps. So it's lucky there's no pubs open. But if you're going to defend a memorial and stand around a memorial, do it with respect, do it calmly. And I don't think any if lots of young members of the black community come, they're not coming to attack the war memorials. We know that. Antifa are, and Antifa will wind it up, and Antifa will try and cause up. I think now that the memorials are covered and protected, sort of like job done.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think personally. I mean, as late as last night, I was saying, look, at the end of the day, if you want to go, I mean, obviously I can't get there because of where I am, but I mean, if you want to go. If I was in London, I'd probably go. But now the war memorials are covered up. You just in a box. I mean, it doesn't, it's pointless going.
And the media are going to use it in any way they can.
Yeah.
Someone will instigate trouble. Someone will be instigate or put in amongst our crowd and their crowd to do the same. And the last thing we want is lasting damage between the black community and the white community over what is a political movement coming from the United States, built and based on race-baiting politics, linked to the top, to George Soros, to the Democratic Party. I keep saying the black community, get off that plantation, because that left-wing Democrat Party, you are slaves to it, and they have held you back for 40 years. And there are so many revolutionary voices within the black community in the United States. But Candice Owens is absolutely. I was watching what she was doing, and then I think about this whole COVID thing. I think Trump 2020, and I look at what's recently happened in order to try and destroy the rising economy of the United States. I look at all of it, and it's building perfect fertile ground for a revolution coming from the left, and they need civil disorder to get there, and everyone is being totally played here. And I essentially walked straight into that. As I sat and thought about it over the days, I've just walked straight into it. And now all of our lads are going to be in London, and the last thing we need is clashing against the members of the community who would agree with us on most of the stuff we're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, they agree with us about the establishment. They agree with us about the way the police behave dishonorably. They agree with us about all those things. The only thing is that we've got people that have now put the race thing in it on, and there's people on both sides. Let's be honest. There's people on the white side stirring up as well. And to me, we've got a couple of stages where we can walk together, like the EDL did. I mean, let's be honest. The EDL was always branded as this monstrous racist organization. I know there was black lads involved at the high levels of the EDL. Yeah,
Everyone.
Exactly. And so to me, it's a completely false narrative, and the mainstream media is pushing it. And we know why they're pushing it. Yeah. So I'm the same, mate. I think if anyone, what I would like to see, if people do go tomorrow, right, what I would like to see is black veterans and white veterans standing there with the medals on at the cenotaph. Forget about Churchill's statue. Churchill's statue is covered in a box. No point even going there. Standing at the cenotaph, scanning to attention, not reacting, and being disciplined as they were when they're in the military, and not getting involved. And to be honest with you, they're probably the only guys that need to go. Nobody else needs to go.
Contact yesterday a few people, members of the black community, who were wanting to meet up, to meet up, and because they want to protect the memorials.
Exactly.
Elder members of the black community in London who felt that they don't want the clash either. You know what I mean? Because they know, you just have to look at it for 10 minutes. They know they're being played. They know that the BLM's being sprayed on everything is by white people, white liberals, in order to cause conflict. It's 100%. So I'll put the video in my video, didn't I? So
yeah.
Anyway, thanks a lot.
Yes, yeah, likewise, Tommy. It's always a pleasure, mate. I'll hopefully see you soon. When I can get off Alcatraz, it's like I say, to get out of Ireland now, you've got to remortgage your house. It's a fucking nightmare, mate. You know what I mean? So I'm learning to swim anyway, so I'll maybe swim across. You know what I mean?
See you later.
Well, listen, thanks everyone for watching. It's always a pleasure, chatting, Tommy, and we will talk again soon, bro. See you soon, mate. See ya.